Welcome back to Central Valley Talk. I'm your host, Mike Briggs. And look who's here with me, my old friend, Wayland Jackson. When I say old friend, I'm not trying to be disparaging, but he is older than me, I can say. Yeah. And Wayland Jackson, you live in Fresno now?
Yes, since 1969.
Wow, and where would you say you're from?
I'm from Oklahoma, and I'm glad I'm from it.
Okay, from Oklahoma. Now, I know you've been here before. We talked about one book. We talked about another book. Today, you're here to talk about your newest book. I'm just going to kind of let you run with it, if that's okay.
Okay, sure. My newest book is When God Disappeared. I'll start with yesterday. I was on the telephone with a realtor in Temecula, California. She wanted to know if I wanted to sell my house. I said, no, I don't think so. I'm not ready to give it up. So the conversation, for some reason, turned to religion. And I told her that I had written a book, When God Disappeared, and I told her that it begins when I was a Methodist as a little child in southern Oklahoma. I became a Baptist when I was a teenager. I graduated from a Baptist university in Oklahoma. I came to California and graduated in Berkeley with my master's degree. I started a Baptist church in California. I also worked on the staff of 3 different Baptist churches. And at the end of that, I resigned the third one and became a school teacher. When that happened, my family, which is a larger Baptist church here in town, moved to a smaller one. And as a matter of fact, the pastor at the time was Gary McDonald, the builder.
Wow.
He left the ministry, went into building. When he left, got a new pastor who was a recent graduate of Dallas Theological Seminary in Dallas, Texas, started by a man named Criswell. It was a seminary that stressed the literal interpretation of the scriptures. Well, that's a tough one because, like in the Old Testament, there's a sentence that says, if you have a disobedient son, stone him. Well, I wasn't into that too much. So when I read something like that in the Bible, it doesn't sound reasonable. It's to me like a speed bump. I just go over it and go on. It doesn't matter because the Bible is full of wonderful things that I love to hear and read. But this particular Sunday in church, our new pastor in this small Baptist church decided to preach on a sentence in the book of Ephesians by the Apostle Paul. And it is this strange verse that I'd read before, but I'd never heard a sermon on, and I never took seriously because it says that a woman should be quiet in church. Can you imagine asking women to be quiet? Well, anyhow, that's a little bit sexist, but anyhow, the Bible says women should be quiet in church. If they want to know something, go home and ask their pastor. Well, gee whiz. To me, that was a speed bump. I was ready to move on. But on the way home from church, my wife said, we're not going back to that church. I said, well, okay, it doesn't matter to me. It's one Baptist church or another. I said, well, let's find another Baptist church. She said, you find a church. I'm going to watch Dr. Schuller on television. So she did, and I did. I went to a different Baptist church here in Fresno, got there just in time for their morning worship, sat on the back row. The Sunday school superintendent came into the pulpit to give 2 figures, which are the temperature of every Baptist church. How much money you got in Sunday school, which is their main source of income, and how many people came to Sunday school. So he reported that apparently the number in Sunday school had fallen just slightly from the previous Sunday. Well, he sat down, the pastor came into the pulpit, and he looked all of us in the congregation in the eye, and he said, I know why the attendance is down today. And I thought, well, yeah, sure, vacations, people are sick, emergencies, who knows what. And he said, we only had 4 people out last Thursday night to go calling for the church. Wow, it was our fault. He was there, so it wasn't his fault. It was somebody else's fault for the decline. He was laying this guilt trip on his congregation. I thought, wow, why is he doing that? And then it occurred to me that I had done just about the same thing myself when I worked in churches. And then I realized that most Baptist churches do this guilt trip thing on people for some unknown reason. And I decided that was the time to sort of cut my cultural ties to Baptist. My wife and I went downtown and started attending First Presbyterian Church. a nice church, great pastor. And in that church, there was a men's Bible study that met every Friday for breakfast at Carnation Restaurant, which is no longer in existence. And we ate breakfast, had a study, and got to work by 8 o'clock. During that Bible study, after several years, the group agreed to study a book by John Shelby Spong, an Episcopal priest. His book was entitled Saving the Bible from Fundamentalism. Thought, wow, how about that? Up until then, I had been asking questions, and in some churches, if you ask a question and they don't know the answer is, well, just have faith. How about this? Well, I don't know. I just have faith. Those answers did not satisfy me. I was having other questions that kept flooding into my mind, and I didn't know what to do with them. So Spong's book, Saving the Bible from Fundamentalism, each chapter challenged one of my beliefs. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I was so relieved to think, look, there are two people in the world who are asking questions, not just me, but also Mr. Spong. So as a result of that, I started asking questions, even fearfully, because if you're a Christian, you're sitting beside me, and I say something you don't like, well, are you going to shut me out or cut me off or shun me? How are you going to do it? I was a little bit fearful. But eventually, several years later, I had a religious experience. And, you know what religious experiences are? They're very personal. Something happens just to you. I'll give you an example. In the Bible, there's the story of Moses, the great lawgiver who got the 10 Commandments. He's 80 years old, in the desert, taking care of the sheep. He sees a bush. The bush is on fire, but it's not burning up. It just burns. Out of the bush comes a voice. Go to Egypt and bring my people out. Take them to Canaan, to the promised land. Well, he did that. Somebody must have written that story down, but Moses didn't go start the church of the burning bush. He didn't go to people and say, look, I had a burning bush. You need to have a burning bush too. It was his own experience. He had the experience. It affected his life. He ran with it. And in the New Testament, there's the story of Paul, or Saul. He became Paul later on, but he's on the road to Damascus. He's knocked to the ground. Lights come on, voices. He hears voices, and he has a religious experience. He went around the whole Mediterranean Sea preaching the gospel, but he never did say to somebody else, if you really want a good experience, you got to get on the road to Damascus, because religious experiences, to me, are extremely 100% personal. When I had mine, my experience made me question everything. It made me see everything in a different light. It's to see myself, my church, the Bible, God, the devil, worms, trees, the sea, everything. Everything was different. And so I wrote this book to describe that experience, its result, and what came from it. Some of the people are bothered when they hear the title, When God Disappeared. Well, I hasten to explain. Disappeared can mean three things. It can mean you just went in the other room. You disappeared. Not that you dematerialized, you're just somewhere else, but not here. That's one, disappeared. The second one is you're standing in front of me and go poof, you're gone, like a magician's trick. And that means you go away, actually, and you're not visible anymore. But neither of those is part of my book title. When God Disappeared, you'll have to read the book to understand the experience I had. I try to describe it in some detail, but not great detail, because religious experiences are extremely hard to describe, hard to put into words, but I tried. And so anyhow, the lady from Temecula that I referred to as I started said, I'm going to get your book. And this is $7.95 on Amazon or 99 cents on Kindle. She said, I'm going to get it. And I encouraged her. I said, if you do, please call me or email me, because it's all in my book, my email address and website. They're in my book, and you can see all of those. We can talk, because in Fresno, I've had people invite me to their homes, say, let's talk about this. I say, yeah. And I've invited others to my home. We've done the same thing. So there are things in here that people can discuss, even things we differ on. We can still discuss and be friends and have our own experiences. Everybody does not have religious experiences. Some people never have. And I think that's okay if they don't. Some people seek them and never have them. Some, like myself, don't seek them at all, and then you have one. So that's sort of the way religious experiences are to me. They're very personal and sort of one-on-one like that.
Very good.
Did I exhaust you?
No, I'm excited about the book now. I will read it, by the way.
Okay,
I'll put it in my stack of books, I always say, because I read,
That's
I
where
read
I put
so
books.
much.
Yes.
By the way, I want to say congratulations for something, because anybody could write a book, but only a few people can ever finish writing a book and get it into this form on paper and published and everything.
I should say this. I did 3 books in my 80s. I'm going to try to do 4 books in my 90s now. So
okay.
Higher we go.
Higher and higher. That's fascinating. I love to hear that story, and I love to have local authors on. But I love the most, because I told you I read a lot. When I could talk to an author and you put your email in there,
yeah.
Hey, Wayland, what do you mean by that, or something, you know.
Yes.
I find most books, though, you get, by the way, here's his first book. We're putting it up on the screen there. And here, just real quickly, it's a book of poetry.
Book of poetry.
It's called Do Not Marry for Love. It's a warning from a guy. Listen to people who are a little older than you. They've been down the road a little bit, right?
62 years.
And then Frog Legs, Stories, Memoirs, and Essays by Wayland Bryant Jackson. Wayland Bryant Jackson.
There you go.
That's not a California name. That came from the South or something, I'd imagine.
It came from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, okay.
Yes.
Most of us came from Oklahoma. That's why we're here, or either us or our parents. And now the current book is When God Disappeared and Where He Turned Up is the rest of the title, also by Wayland Bryant Jackson. By the way, I want to tell you Wayland's web address. It's easy, waylandjackson.com. And his email, WaylandBJ, stands for Wayland Bryant Jackson, waylandbj@gmail.com. But just go to waylandjackson.com. It's got the books. It tells you where you can order them, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Where can you order this?
Well, this one, of course, is on Amazon.
The new one's on Amazon.
And Kindle. And also, I should say, this sells for $7.95.
That's a really good price.
I get 5 cents of it.
5 cents
That's my royalties.
These are real expensive to print. A lot of us are getting those Kindles now. They're 99 cents, you know. Yours book is 99
Some
cents.
people prefer to hold it in their hand.
Yes.
So they order books.
And I want to put one suggestion in the mind of our viewers. What are you going to get your friends for Christmas? Another necktie? Or, we just get something. Just order 10 or 20 of these and give them away to friends.
Yes.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a good idea?
It would be a great idea.
I've done that many years of Christmas. Because whatever you give people, it's gone in a week or whatever.
Is, yeah.
So this they'll have in their house next year and the next year and the next year. Anything else you want our viewers to know?
No, I just thank you for this opportunity to make this, have this interview with you. I appreciate it. If Carol ever watches this, hi, Carol. I hope you get better.
Our host, Carol Love Forbes. I'm sitting in your chair, Carol, but we're holding it for you. She'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you, Wayland Jackson.
Okay.
We'll be back with more Central Valley Talk, artists and authors, right after this.